Benchmark Business Sales and Valuations proudly presents the Meaning Business Podcast, hosted by Coudrey and Peter Spinda. This is the podcast for anyone serious about buying, selling, and preparing your business for maximum growth.
So a wealthy businessman, rich, decided to go on a holiday to an island. And he's loving this holiday. You know, he can just sit on the beach, sipping his margarita, his cocktail. And in fact, he got into this habit each day while he was on the holiday that he'd lie down at the beach, watch the sunset, sipping his martini, whatever the cocktail of choice is. Now, as he was lying there, each day he noticed one thing. He noticed this fisherman coming in with his boat and unpacking this big haul of fish. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4 go by, and he just notices every day that he's just so successful at catching these fish. So on day 4, he decides to go down to the fisherman, tap him on the shoulder and say, "Excuse me, I'm a very successful entrepreneur. Can I give you some business advice?" The fisherman amusingly looks at him and says, "Sure, go for it." He says, "Look, I've noticed that you're coming in every day with all this fish. Just wanted to give you this advice that imagine if you bought another boat like that and you put it on someone to go out and fish with you. You could double your catch." Fisherman's like, "Okay, that's interesting. And then what would happen?" He said, "Well, once you double your catch, you can then double your team. You could buy another 2 boats. You could have 4 boats going out there." Fisherman's like, "Oh, that sounds interesting. So then what would happen?" He says, "Well, once you get to that stage, you can then afford to step back and get some more boats on board, more boats onto the trawling team. And in fact, you don't need these little boats anymore. You'd have a trawling team. You could afford to buy some trawlers and employ some people. And then you can have an office space. You can go into the city and have this big office space and coordinate your empire, and you can grow, and you can even have your own canning facility." And the fisherman amusingly just looks at him and goes, "Okay, well, then what?" He says, "Well, as your business is getting bigger and bigger, you make more and more money. And eventually you get to a point where you've got this empire that is worth something. You could sell the empire." And the fisherman goes, "Okay, well, then what?" And the businessman says, "Well, then once you've got all this money, you could retire onto a tropical island. You could spend all day just relaxing and fishing and just enjoying life." And the fisherman looks at him amusingly and says, "Okay, but what's the difference between that and what I'm doing right now?" So it's paradox of success, and I guess how we view success and what success is really dependent upon us and our factors, and it doesn't necessarily mean that success has to be put down to a financial amount. There's so much to this topic of success.
And that's what we're going to talk about today on Meaning Business. Our storyteller there is Peter Spinda. I'm Bruce Coudrey. And we've brought a very special guest a long way to come and see us today.
It truly is special.
Yes, he is special. Andrew Cominos, who it says here is a business performance guide, but he's much more than that. He's a good guy. He doesn't know it. He's pretty funny, and he's got a lot of energy as well. So he probably does know it. But so welcome, Andrew, to talk to Peter and I today
Andrew?
About success.
Yeah, I just mean business.
Yeah, that's what you mean. If people were wondering, Andrew means business.
Yeah. No. I don't know if I do very much, to be honest. I think I'm the least professional person here, that's for sure.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Well, see, then we could have a topic about what is the definition of professional.
Correct. Hyper-professionalism, not a good thing.
So take it away, Andrew. Talk to us about this topic of success. I mean, there's a reason why you're here.
Entertain us.
Entertain us, yes. Tell us about your journey, your take on success, and lead the way.
I love that story. That story is a really interesting one because it leads to this idea of what is true success and what does success mean to one person versus what it means to another person. The thing that's really interesting about that story is that the first man's version of success, I often ask the question, is that his version of success, or is that the version of success that he was indoctrinated into? You know, was he born thinking, "Oh my goodness, I need to be wealthy and a major entrepreneur and help people on the beach who are already happy to find another version of success"? Is that how No, he was obviously indoctrinated into that over time through the society that he lived
Environmental.
Could
right?
be wealthy family,
Absolutely.
society.
Or maybe he wasn't wealthy.
Yeah.
And he saw other people who had the things that he wanted in the society that he lived in. And he went, "Well, that's the way I want to live."
That's right.
And so then he became this person. Here's the thing. Now, I've never been a person that's sent a company public and been absolutely outrageously crazy. And I'm not going to sit on any podcast and say that I'm the most financially successful person on the planet, because I'm not. But I have had a reasonably successful business before, and I lived in a situation where my whole life was focused around that business. And the idea of financial success and the idea of running a successful business was the definition of success. And I find I actually did a post about this morning. I find a lot of business owners get stuck in what I call the busyness of business, forgetting about every other area of their life. And they have this adventure of business, but they lose their adventure in their community, their adventure in their health, their adventure in their mind, in their growth, in their learning, in their play, in their spirit, in their fun. You know what I mean? Every other area of their life. And I think what happens is then, like that fisherman said, right? He goes, well, what's the difference between what you're striving to get to and what I have now? And what that fisherman has chosen, whether right or wrong, is to have the adventure in every other area of his life over just in business. And so which life was better?
But see, what's interesting is that fisherman was also happy from a financial point of view, because he had enough.
He had enough
for everything. He clearly had enough to live a comfortable life, a happy life. He didn't see the need for any more than that.
But see, this is where actually environment plays a massive factor, right? Because he was happy on the island. But what would his opinion be if he lived in the city?
That's right.
Because in the city, it's so much more expensive to have a good life, right? Like, so if I went to the Philippines right now and I was earning, say, a similar amount of money as I'm earning now in the Philippines,
Live like
my goodness, my life. I mean, my life's pretty damn good now. I mean, it'd be pretty freaking amazing over there. You know what I mean? It'd be remarkable. Huh? See what I did there? If anyone doesn't, if anyone looked at my business,
they'll get it later. He's wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting talking about that? So I'm Hungarian by background, and what I've seen a lot of Hungarians do when they get to a certain age is they pack up over here and they actually move back to Hungary, and they take the wealth that they've generated over here to live over there because of the multiplying effect, the leverage effect of the value of money over there.
But, you know, we're talking about success today, right? And you actually said it before, Andrew, areas. So you can be successful in different areas. You could be a successful athlete, but a very poor father, or it could be a very successful business person, but unsuccessful gardener. You know, there's different areas, right? There's all these different things and different ways we measure success, isn't there? But you know what I've noticed? When you guys have been talking about success, you're equating happiness is the other metric.
Well, I think I said this before, right? We obviously had a chat before, and one of, you know, whether people realize it or not, the metric they link to success is financial and career-based success, whether that's in business or not in business, right? That's the social metric. Now, the reality of in my opinion, I should say, the only real metric that lasts the test of time in terms of success is, are you fulfilled and are you happy? Because you can be a billionaire and depressed, and it's just, it's not worth it. If you're a billionaire and alone, a billionaire and unhealthy, a billionaire with nothing. And so I actually have a question for you, Bruce. As the largely most financially successful person in the room, was there a time in your life where you went, you know what? There's more to this. There's more than just chasing this. Was there a moment that you went,
yes.
You know, and what's your view on that now? I would love to know that from you. That'd be really interesting from my point of view.
So first of all, long answer, I apologise. First of all.
And we're done for the rest of the podcast.
Get comfortable. So if you make it to the top, you can be the number one footballer or musician or in the world. Are you happy? Is that success? What is success? So what is success? But for me, to answer that properly, so money has never been my personal measure of success, and I didn't really know what it was, because for me, I did realise that I was running away from bankruptcy. That's what motivated me. I wasn't running towards, goals or big bank account. I was running away. I don't want to go broke. I don't want to.
It's funny, if you do research, sorry to interrupt, if
Yeah.
you do research, that is the majority focus of people's lives.
Yes.
Is people always, where people's lives shift around in terms of happiness is when they stop running away from sadness and start running towards happiness. And the majority are actually just trying to avoid pain rather than chasing what they actually
It's sort of like a negative motivator. But so that was a part of it. And then, but for me, the real, I hope I answer this the way you want, Andrew, or you get the answer you need. Not that, anyway, I was lying awake at night, many, 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 many nights in the early 2000s, just worrying about money and what's going to happen and the things that you expect or want to happen not happening. And, I used to, because you couldn't sleep, I'd sort of start making this priority list in my mind. And my priority list at those days was, my business was number one, my kids' education was number two, health was, number 3 or 4, and other things, my mum, my dad, whatever it was down the list. But I kept every night, for years, reprioritizing until I figured it out for me. And it wasn't money. But I know this sounds, I hope my wife's going to hear this, making her number one, making her being, a good husband and having a great relationship with her was the most important thing, because then that flowed down to my kids. And so I could say I could lose the mortgage, or I could lose my house, lose my business, didn't matter, as long as, I've got that relationship with my wife, and that then makes my kids' relationship better with each other and with us. And other good things flow from that. So I did kind of figure it out. I don't know if that's what you were thinking. But then, to finish off, I feel that for me, if you've got those things right, and you never get there, you're always working towards whatever it is in life being better. But if you make that, for me anyway, the priority, then you can go, okay, money starts to come in, other things just fall into place, and if it's not working, you can change it.
But then you're not stressing either about the money, but rather you're more open to ideas. You're more open to experiment within the business.
I think you're more comfortable too, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or I was anyway.
Sorry that to take risks and
Sorry that I picked up my phone.
That's good.
Right. So sorry that I picked up my phone, but I had to do it because what you said was really, really interesting.
Yeah.
I posted literally this morning, and I just was like, I want to read this because it's so important, right? I said, people often ask how I moved from being habitless, overwhelmed, and broken to literally making performance my life. It's funny, people have this idea that business is their entire life and focus, which is what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that if they don't make it their entire life, they won't succeed, while telling themselves that's not actually what they believe. And you were the same. I was the same. I'm sure at some stage, Pete, you've been the same. But there are a few issues, right? You wind up broken on the floor. Literally, I had my head in my hands, having spent 5 years in a toxic relationship, not seeing anything beyond the face of business, right? And if you'd asked me at the time, I would have told you it's about building the life you want, do the things that fill your cup. Like 97% of other business owners, I would say that I was congruent, but I wasn't. My version of filling my cup was taking care of myself and escaping, playing golf, drinking with friends, eating too much food. What a load of rubbish. A bunch of unhealthy habits that put me in a cage of total stress and overwhelm with some instant gratification. Now, the reason I read this out, right, is the lesson that I learned was that it's where you shift your focus to that makes the difference. And I could read the whole post, but it's a long post. The reality is that what I really learned from what you said was that you shifted your focus priorities onto your partner, right? And here's the thing, is that I put in that post that people will perform better, markedly better, in their business when their priority, I mean, this is like, you can go do the research on this, and this is the reality of anything to do with success, is that everyone has their own version of success, but these are the models that the majority of successful people, and when I say successful, I don't mean financially, I just mean in life,
Yeah.
right?
There are
Life
commonalities.
success. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's commonalities, right?
Absolutely.
And one of those commonalities is that people will perform better in their business or their career when their priorities actually become themselves. And what you actually did there is, you're saying you made your highest priority your wife. I actually don't think you did. I think by making your highest priority your wife, what you did was actually make your highest priority yourself.
Well, I think
to
I
be
benefited from that. Yeah.
to be the best husband you could be for your wife, you had to be better. And so for your wife to benefit from you, what happened was the shift between if you focus on your career, you'll make a living. But if you focus on yourself, you'll make a fortune. And the fortune is not money. The fortune is the fortune of life, the fortune of alignment and progress towards that.
Yeah. I mean, we're all going to make mistakes and have regrets, right? So
100%.
it's a constant
except-
journey. Yeah, except you.
Yeah, I don't make mistakes.
It's a constant journey to move forward and keep moving. If you think you've made it, then life becomes pretty meaningless and unfulfilling.
Absolutely.
So it just reminded, when Andrew was saying that, about there's this thing I think that happens to most of us in Western culture, in our world, where we define success inadvertently or accidentally through life this way. As a child, you think, oh, my life would be great if I had a bike. I just want a bike. Oh, get a bike. And you finally get a bike and it's great. Then you think, oh, I don't want a bike. I want a car. I need to be able to drive around and show off and go to work. So you get a car. You think, oh, I really need a girlfriend. I want a girlfriend. I don't need a car. I need a girlfriend to drive around with me. And you get a girlfriend. And then you get married. And then you get a house. And you need a pool. And you need a holiday. And you need a boat.
Need.
Yeah.
Want.
But you know what? You get all that stuff, and a lot of people get to that point, and they think, I'm not happy. I've got these things. I'm not really happy. So that is not success at all, is it?
And you know what a lot of people often do at that time? So you take there's a cool little cartoon that I've seen. I don't know if you've seen this one. The guy on the bicycle looks to his right, and there's a dude on the motorbike, and the guy on the bicycle thinks, I wish I had a motorbike. The motorbike rider looks to the right and sees them in the car, thinks, I wish I had a car. The person in the car looks to the right and sees a sports car that's 3 times as expensive. Oh, I wish I had that sports car. The person in the sports car looks out and sees a waterway with the yacht on it. Oh, I wish I had the yacht. The person on the yacht looks out and sees a jet flying above them. I wish I had the jet. And often what people do in these sort of situations is they go, okay, I'm going to buy a bigger house. I'm going to buy a bigger car.
That's right.
And they do it for the wrong reasons, not for themselves as a reward or whatever else it might be, but they do it because it's keeping up with the Joneses, just because society says that's what success is.
It's funny because those two stories, or those two, what you both just said, actually tell you what the defining metric of success actually is. Because how many times, and everyone listening to this will think this right now, right? How many times have you said to yourself, I'll be happy when?
Absolutely.
So what's the defining metric of success? The reason I'll be happy when I make $1 million. I'll be happy when I have that successful business. I'll be happy when my wife's happy. I'll be happy when my kids are in high school. I'll be happy I'll be happy when. But then
it never comes.
It never comes because
the
reality is, happiness is found in you. It's not an external thing. It's an internal thing. And until you can find them, and I have been blessed in my life, and I'm so grateful that I learned to find happiness inside me from a very young age. There's one thing I've always been super blessed with. My mother had multiple sclerosis. I watched her life deteriorate right in front of my eyes to the point where she was a vegetable in a wheelchair. And for me, it's like my brain when I was a kid in that moment just went, my life can't be as shit as that. That's horrible. Sorry, I'm swearing, but like my life.
No, but you're right. You're 100% right.
And so it switched to this finding happiness internally. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm so lucky. I'm so this. And this whole idea that people talk about this, this practice of gratitude and around people don't want to do it, right? They don't want to have to do something every day because they feel like that habit or the practice of gratitude will put them in a cage of, oh my goodness, I have to do something every day. What they don't realize is that positive habit of, and it's not gratitude, by the way. It is, but it's all gratitude, thinking about things you love, things that you're excited by, things that, you just had fun doing, or all of that is the same thing.
Being
It's
in
like,
the moment.
yeah,
Absolutely
exactly.
enjoying
And just
today.
remembering the good things in your life or knowing the good things in your current day, even drinking a coffee in the morning and going, this is such a damn good coffee. I mean, those little things are practices of gratitude. You don't have to practice, what am I grateful for today, and find this big existential thing that you're super grateful for.
Well, see, that's the problem. A lot of people think that they need to go down that path, but you don't. Like you said, the coffee.
Yeah.
The other day we were having coffee at a cafe, and I said to you, "This is so good, best coffee that I've had." Now it's challengeable, and we're going to go something else.
My answer is like, you why?
But hey, I was so happy in the moment, and I savoured the flavors of
spoiled
the
it.
coffee. And he did ruin it. No, he didn't.
No,
'Cause
no,
I
it's
actually
something to
got a
look forward
second
to.
one,
Yeah.
and it was something to look forward to. And I really enjoyed that coffee in the moment. And literally, right now, sitting here, I can think of those flavors and go, "Wow, I'm salivating." It was so nice to be in that moment.
I'll give you a challenge, right? There's this thing that I teach all my clients. How many times a day does something go wrong in your day? Happens regularly, right?
Yeah.
And when something goes wrong, how often are you present with the thing that's gone wrong? The cat peed on the floor, your daughter yelled at you, your son did this, your staff member did the wrong thing, and oh my goodness, and you sit there and you're like, and you think about it, and you're like, and you go over it and over it. And I always talk about this thing called day-to-day resilience. And I say day-to-day resilience is the thing that will define the quality of your life. And what I mean by that is, one of the good things about you, which it's probably not even a conscious thing you do, it's just a natural habit you've picked up over the course of your life, which has benefited you, is this being present and noticing the flavors of that coffee and the deliciousness and being able to go back to it and feel the joy of that. Now, in the moment that your daughter, throws a tantrum or does something wrong, having had that positive, I suppose, experience that you were actually present for helps you deal with that because you don't feel like your whole day is negative. And it's interesting because most people, if you say, what did you have this morning? They'll go, oh yeah, I had a coffee. I'm like, do you remember the coffee? And it's like, oh yeah, did you sit with it? Were you present with it? And I say to them, I do this. I go, close your eyes, go back to that coffee. I want you to taste that first sip of coffee in the morning, and you see their face just light up. Everyone smiles, and it's really interesting because they miss that, but they're really present with the crap in their life. And so the whole idea of what I'm saying around success is that is success money? Is it business? Or is it that knowing what to be present with in your life?
So can I just say, listen, that success is irrelevant. It's happiness that's relevant.
Yeah.
Just stewing on it and thinking about it. And when, this is called meaning business, so it all relates to business, I suppose, in the end.
Maybe it should be called meaning happiness.
Yeah, maybe success is sort of irrelevant. In other words,
just sell your businesses, guys.
give it away, get a caravan. No, but you've got to be happy in what you do. You've got to enjoy it. What's the point of getting up every morning?
That then comes into the business.
Exactly. It permeates,
It
right?
permeates to your clients,
You're
your
happy,
team,
your
staff.
business will go better.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing though, right? You say, because we said it, then we sell the business. I'll sell the businesses, go get a caravan.
Mm.
But here's the thing, for a lot of people, and some people are going to be like, well, that's not me. Or do I have the right thing going on? And I want you to think that at this moment is, if you sold the business and you left and you went in that caravan, what then would be your mission? And particularly for men, like there's a lot of research around this, particularly for men. Mission is like the core driving force, one
Yeah.
of the core driving forces of their life. If you look at things like the divine feminine and the divine masculine and all those sorts of things, right? And that driving, but for a lot of people, you pull back from the business, or you pull back from how you're serving the community, and suddenly you lack direction.
That's why
And
you've got to
identity.
Yeah.
You lose identity.
and some identity.
That's right. But that's why you've got to have that holistic approach to your life, where you've got to redefine your life not based on your business. So in my case, for example, if my wife was earning a certain amount of money and we were able to live, here's a tip for you, Kitty. No, and we were able to live without my need to generate an income comfortably. And she said to me, "Look, the only way we can do this is by you giving up what you do and you become a stay-at-home dad." I would personally not have an issue with that, because my identity isn't business. I love business, don't get me wrong. But you know what? My priority is like Bruce. It's my wife, it's my family, my kids. And if it meant that I could support my wife in this role that she wants to play in her career, and et cetera, and it would mean that, you know what, I could make the breakfast for the kids every morning, drop them off to school, and during the day, cook and clean. I'd love to do that, because it's that happiness. I'm fulfilled. It's, I fill my cup. Now I can tell you all, and anyone that knows me knows that I'd have side businesses and hustles and things like that. But
fun.
that's not.
You'd be running 100 Ks a day.
That's right. I'd love to be able to do that. And then the physio's going to be like, "You've done it again."
Up and down Mount Barney all the time.
But you're 100% right. Now, and Bruce, you would have seen this over many, many years of being a business. I've been advising clients for the past 12 or 13 years now, and work with all sorts of business owners. The most successful ones that I've seen are the ones that have got success beyond business, and that have recognized that family is important, friends are important, taking leave, that's critical. I mean, Bruce, you're a prime example where I know what you do with your family on holidays. You play board games and interact and engage, and you have fun, and you cook food together, and you have meals together, and
Get upset if I lose.
Are you a turn the Monopoly board guy? I can just see you.
Let me go start again.
and this is him playing against his 3-year-old grandson.
I do love games. In fact, we're going to play one before Andrew goes. Not on.
Dad. But that's what it's about. And there's this sort of laughter and banter, and they're the crappy moments that when we're on our deathbed, we're going to reflect back and go, wow, we had so much fun. And you've got loving kids that you can call upon. You can have a glass of wine with them and just chat shit.
I don't know if I do that. But
One of the
if you're in business and you're having fun,
Yeah.
I sort of mentioned this before, it's just like being at home with your family. You can choose whether you're going to hate your family,
Yep.
or they're going to ruin your life, or you're going to love them and you're going to have a great time with them. You might as well choose. And it's the same with business. If you can make, and I don't know if Andrew's thought about this, but one of the things that Andrew talks about is play, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And I think we should have a bit more play in business, and not only play, but also make it a bit of a game. Like for this year, I've got a certain few targets I want to hit. And if I get there, that's a bit of a game, right? So we should make it a bit more fun
And there you go.
find more ways to do that.
yourself.
Well, let's talk about these 6 core areas of your life that, through a whole bunch of research and modeling of successful people and modeling of successful stories, so that I distracted by them.
I wish I had a motorbike.
So I wish I had a Ferrari. Yeah. So I talk about
He's happy.
I talk about these 6 core areas of life, right? And it's community, health, growth, play or fun, spirit, and drive. And fun is, I always say to people, as you grew up, you put your toys down and you picked up something else. And typically it's stress, responsibility, overwhelm, all those things. But you didn't pick up any adult toys. You didn't pick up so I always say, what fills your cup and excites you? And if you're lucky enough that your business fills your cup and excites you, great.
Awesome.
Right. If you're lucky enough to find something, if you can genuinely say, when I go play golf, it fills my cup and I'm excited, like, oh my goodness. right? And it fills you, then that's amazing. I mean, I am lucky enough to have found the just insane sense of adventure. And when I go do just anything that is just completely gnarly off track that I probably shouldn't be doing, I'm just in heaven, right?
And I'm yelling at, wait up!
Well, no, usually I'm yelling at you, wait up. But yeah, I think that's really important. Play. It's like, staying young at heart. While you guys were talking about you were talking just before, and now I've lost it.
About the wanting more and the envy of the other people, or
No, just
Family engagement. And
the family engagement, right? While you guys were talking about the family engagement side of things, I was thinking about how important it is to understand that the prioritization of family above all does the exact same thing as the prioritization of business above all. And mothers see that constantly. They lose themselves. They lose themselves. I mean, how many people that children, leave the house and the mother suddenly
they're lost.
They're lost, right? And they don't have anything. They're not a person anymore. They're just a mother. Like their whole identity becomes mother.
Yeah.
And so,
but that's keep going.
I was going to say this, like I did this exercise recently, which I do with my clients, which is about finding what your identity is within you rather than attributing your identity to something. Attribute it to you. Attribute it to who you need to be. And the good thing about you that you were saying before when you said, my priority became my wife. You made your priority your wife. But based on how you said that and based on what you said then after that, which was I had to be the best husband, the best this, you started to define an identity within yourself that was based on you rather than based on her, which then allowed her to be your priority. But the identity became you.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the time, like a businessman is a businessman. I am a businessman. I don't have that. That's right. Nothing else. Or I am a mother. If I don't have that. That's right. I am a father. If I don't have that, I've got nothing else. It's like, well, no. Are you a man or a woman of integrity? Do you live with honor? Do you live with, are you a consistent human being? Are you like, what are you? Like, who are you as a human being?
So what's interesting, so if we focus on this word identity.
Deep.
It is getting deep.
It's got
so
deep.
Let's go deeper.
Identity, from a business perspective, the individual's identity, the business owner's identity actually does become the organization's identity. Who they are is what the organization tends to become. And as a result, that dictates the sort of team that they build, the relationships with customers, with the stakeholders and internal, external. And then it also drives the success or failure of that organization. So that's why in the human resource space, they say that when you're recruiting new staff, start from a values perspective. Put your values on the table, recruit from a values perspective, then obviously look for those that align with your values, that can prove that they can do what they want, which you call the producers, which is 100% correct. But the truth is that it's the business owner's identity that drives the organization's identity.
So that identity thing starts with children. He's a bad kid. You're a bad kid. You're a good kid. You're a smart kid. You're a strong kid. You're a great runner. You're a great swimmer. You're a good talker. It becomes their identity, consciously or unconsciously.
It actually goes way deeper than you even think, right? So there's this study, there's a couple of studies that are really interesting. One of those studies is they did this study where they put women in a room, and what they did is they were all women, and they said, write down your name and your gender at the top of this maths test. And they wrote down their name and their gender.
I know this one.
Right. And they got a particular score. And then they said, okay, now write down your name and your nationality at the top of the test in a different test. Same group of women, right? And they do this multiple times of multiple things. The increase in percentage of score was like, I can't remember the exact number. It was like 45%, like better. It was nuts because it was a group of Asian women. And what happens is Asians have been taught that they're good at maths and women have been taught that they're bad at maths. And so they literally primed it. And the other study that's
They did that with men as well, and they found the exact same thing.
and
Yeah.
they what are they going to say? The other story, which was really, really interesting, is a study done around how we treat our children. When you walk down the road with and I can't go into the full study, but when you walk down the road with, let's say, your son, and you see a group of bunnies, you'll say, "Oh, look at that, a bunch of bunnies. How many bunnies are there, Johnny?" 1, 2, 3. You walk down with your daughter, and typically you don't even realize you do it, but you say, "Oh, look at the pretty bunnies. Aren't they so pretty?"
Yeah.
Right? They're adorable. So what are we teaching our children?
Absolutely.
Right? And so
Consciously, yeah.
and these are the identity statements that we're giving them.
Yes. But the other thing about identity and business ownership, quite often business owners identify. I know somebody, if they sold their business, they would lose their identity, who they are. They can't get out of it. They love being who they are, identified by that business. But we can change our identity easily. We can say, I am a this, I'm a that, I'm a strong person, I'm a good husband, I'm a great accountant, I'm good at selling, I'm good at marketing. You can just talk yourself around, I believe.
Often a lot of the identity change comes about as a result of chaos and as a result of some sudden impact thing in your life or in the business that forces you to change.
Yep.
Some
Negatively.
people are happy, negatively.
Yeah.
And I've told you, I don't know if I told you the story, Bruce. I've got one former client lives up in northern Queensland, and the lady's got everything she needs and stresses a lot about business, etc. Works a lot of hours, and I've asked her several times, why don't you just sell up? You've got enough assets so you could live as a multi-millionaire for the rest of your life. And guess what? Doesn't want to, because she loves that chaos and loves and like you said, that's her identity has become the business is her, and doesn't know how to separate the two. Which is one of the issues with, I guess, going back to the topic of success, is that if we're often just focusing too much on success, it can just drive us into this hole and suck our energy, and it can drive us into depression and anxiety, or it can set up the wrong identity for us. And when the time comes that we leave the business, the world falls apart for us, irrespective of us being billionaires or not, because all of a sudden, who am I?
The other thing you'll find about that, and I think this is my bigger point for a lot of the thing, is you'll find that client of yours, whether she is aware of it or not, is probably very lost in multiple other areas of her life, or wondering consistently, waking up in the middle of the night or going to the toilet or doing something and going, is this all there is to life? To be this person, to be this definition. And then she gets into her business and the chaos of the business takes over and her brain switches into a conditioned habit and she just goes.
And it's a distraction from reality.
It's a drug.
That's right.
Because it's something that she's good at.
So I don't mind admitting that when I've used my business, especially years ago, as an excuse for not having to go to certain functions or do certain things that I didn't want to do. It's a great excuse, and it definitely wasn't the limiting factor, but I made it.
And the cool thing, the not cool thing, the thing about that is, I always say to people, is that if you can work towards progress, and I'm not talking about balance here. Balance is irrelevant. What I'm talking about is just progress, slow, fast, or whatever else, in every area of your life. If you can progress towards alignment, and I always talk about progress, not alignment, because alignment is useless, because as soon as you find alignment, there's a new level of alignment and a new level of alignment. So alignment is useless. It's about the journey. It's about the progress, right? That's why my whole business is around adventure and journey and whatever. Point is, it's about the progress towards alignment. But if you can start to learn how to progress towards alignment in every area of your life, you feel this, you lose this sense of listlessness, this sense of lost, or you start to feel, oh my gosh, stuff feels good because I'm now, I know who I am, I know who I want to be, and now I'm actually moving forward in all those areas. And I say to people is like, if you're performing this well in your business right now, and you aren't,
Imagine if you were.
Imagine if you were progressing in every area of your life. Imagine if you had a good relationship. Imagine if all of those little worries that are in your head because you're not taking care of any other area of your life just dissipated and just went away because you felt alignment, you felt progression. How much more focus, how much more energy, how much more vitality, how much more purpose.
Satisfied.
Oh my goodness, you would be unstoppable.
You can then cut out all the external noise, all those people. So I had a couple of years ago, a former friend, and I've ditched this person, said to me that I'm a bad father. That wasn't you. I'm a bad father because I spend too much of my time training and exercising and competition, and that how dare I do that because I should be there with the kids constantly. Now, that sort of individual is
What's that
noise.
teaching your kids?
That's exactly right. That's noise. By me doing that, it goes back to what we've spoken about, which is healthy mind, healthy body, healthy habits. The kids see that. All my kids, you guys know, are fit, active, et cetera, and I'm fit, active, et cetera, and I've got a good head and I'm confident, and those sort of people, because of this confidence and the identity I have, don't exist in my life anymore, and those detractors don't exist. And when they do come and people do comment, I can just wash it off and go, meh, it doesn't matter because I'm in control of my own life and I'm happy with where I am. So content.
We could talk about this for hours, but time's running out. I'm going to get everyone to wrap up with something if you've got something you want to say. For me, it is that success doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Happiness is what matters. And, that instant gratification is short term, so it's not worth chasing. So if we can define what success is for each of us and define what makes us happy and seek that, the journey is more satisfying and more rewarding than probably the destination. So that's what I want to say. Pete or Andrew, have you got anything to summarise or wrap up with?
Well, I tend to agree that success, like the only metric of success that matters is, are you fulfilled? Are you happy? I like to say it like this. True success or true happiness is the adventurous pursuit towards alignment in every area of your life. If you can nail that, if you can nail down the areas of your life and start moving, some you're going to move faster, some you're going to move slower, but you're just always moving in each area. You're always progressing in each area. And as you do that, you feel like you're on track. You feel fulfilled. You feel aligned. You feel happy. And even if you don't know your mission or your purpose or your goal right now, as long as you're making that progress, you'll start to feel better. Is it going to happen overnight? No, but it's about the movement.
I want to be like that when I'm 90, 95. I want to keep striving,
Yeah, absolutely.
That inspired me.
Absolutely. Now, I'll finish off what this my last words, and you guys can comment on this, but my last words are simple. I'm into adventure racing. When I get to a point where I can't race, I want to get into wheelchair adventure racing. When I can't do that, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to reflect with a glass of wine and go, man, I had so much fun doing that. And I'm going to watch my kids and other people around me enjoy their lives and see how motivated they've gotten and the healthy habits they've had.
Well, that was good. I hope people got something out of what we had to talk about today. Oh, I'm going to finish on this note. Is that all right? Wrap it up here?
Go for it.
Andrew, the coffee you drink in the morning must be amazing.
It's funny. I sit with my coffee every morning with total presence. It's like one of my big things. You should see. I went to a networking event. I'll stop after this. I went to a networking event, and I sat there, and it was the first coffee I'd had for the day. Usually, I've had a coffee, and it was the first coffee I'd had for the day. And I went there, and I closed my eyes, and I sat, and like the colleagues around me were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm being successful.
Oh, beautiful finish. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.